Good morning once again. You're still watching the weekend show. I remain Monday Thomas, and from the stables of sports is now to the very important aspect of the society, and which is politics. Joining me to do so this morning is Roland, as usual. Third week running. How you doing?
Good. How you doing this week?
Fantastic. So last week we started on the series, or would I say conversation, because we are definitely going to digress when something more of significant happens. But right now, there's nothing more significant as politics and governance as we take a look at the basic needs of the people, and as well as the achievement of this government as we are counting down to the 2027 elections. Last week, we had two gentlemen who, of course, took our time to break things down. I think one was going for the long-term progress of the nation, and one was saying we need to tackle insecurity, poverty, and the health sector here in the country. I don't know what these guests are going to, of course, tell to us. Joining us to make sense of this conversation is Kola Alapini, is an international human rights lawyer. And we also have flanked alongside is Prince Kennedy, National Youth Leader, Labour Party. And it's definitely not a visitor on the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
A guest that is not so much of a guest.
Good to see
Good
you
to have
again.
you. So let's start as we normally do. But of course, sometimes I like to let my co-host throw in the first question. But a lot has been happening. ADC looks like they are now taking shape with David Mark appointed as the chairperson, as alongside us Ralph Argboshola as the secretary. Do you think the ADC is now taking shape?
Like I told you the last time I was here, I don't have interest in that coalition.
Yeah.
And
But
I'm not a fan of the coalition, and I
Okay.
don't want to talk about it. Let's watch and see in the coming days. You know, we are in a country where every 4 years, some group of disgruntled individuals come around and they say they are forming a coalition. If you can remember, I broke it down the other time. This government of APC that everybody is crying about was introduced by people like David Mark. Not David Mark, by people like Atiku Abubakar. Malami was there. All of them connived and took power from the first professor, PhD holder, to be a president in the country. So what are we expecting? I handed it over to somebody that is just barely having WAEC. So that is why we are where we are today. So asking me if ADC, David Mark was a Senate president for 8 years. What is the landmark legislation that we can attach to his name? Malami was, sometimes I call names. I don't care. Malami was the Attorney General of this federation. In this country, during his 8 years tenure, there were judgments of the court that were not obeyed. What are you now coming to do again? Is it that you were blind? Now you can see.
I think that's what's happening. Most of these politicians, when they are in power, they are blind, but when they are out of the office, they can now see. But I would like
it's
to.
not even sure that they've seen.
Yeah, we should.
Who knows if they are
But let's say now, then they were blind, but now they can see. You use this kind of words even the last time that they are disgruntled. But let's
Yes,
say people
like
changes.
Erufai.
No, let's say people changes.
What is the change?
Let's say people
What
changes.
is the change?
Let's give them the benefit of doubt. Okay, now there are new developments on the political space, just like he said, with the ruling of the court that gave ADC their leadership and all that. Now let's talk about the present administration. No doubt there are issues here and there, but let's also give credit when they have done well. I believe this present administration have done notable things that the citizens have enjoyed.
Are you their
Even
publicity?
though
Are you their publicity?
I'm
Are
not,
you
but
their media
let's look at the fact that the economy. They say the economy is stabilized. Let's also talk about the debt that the
Have
president
gone
said.
away from 1.5 for the past 4 months?
Let's look at it. They said so.
How much
They
was
said
dollar
so.
when
So
they
those,
came in?
these are the conversations we want to talk about today. Do you think that there's no achievement in this present
You see,
administration?
look, let me tell you, as an opposition leader, I felt we have a better policy. I felt we have a better policy that would have given Nigerians good governance by this second year in this administration.
So
So if you ask
even though
me
you are
what
an
have this- if
opposition,
you ask me
can
what
you
this
look at
government have
it?
achieved,
Can you
the
look
only
at
thing
it?
that
Can-
this government have achieved that I know that is very landmark to me is that this government gave National Assembly members vehicles. This government bought new private jets. this government is a government of holiday and traveling. Personally, that's what I can say.
So you are speaking from the
Where
opposition
is our
point of view.
president today? Every 2 weeks, every 1 month, the president is leaving the country. No sympathy. People are dying. When you say indices, there is key performance indices. You must look at the health. You must look at the life expectancy of your citizens. You must look at the living standard in line with international protocols of the citizens. It's not just about coming on air to say, we have done this, we have done that. What are the rural people saying about what you have done? Are they still going freely to farm in this country? Are they going freely to farm? Transportation from here to Kaduna, is it seamless? We are the local people. I argued with somebody that said from here to Lokoja is good to Kwara. But we left the studio. The guy told me that what I'm saying is correct. But they have to defend the government. I was in a studio, television, Channel TV one day, met with one of the key spokespersons of this government. And he told me that it's difficult to defend this government. And I told him I'm going to say it on TV. He said, you're on your own. They know. You in this country, you came and said you are giving Nigerians 25,000, Nigerian youths and women 25,000 each. And you are using 3 billion for consultancy. Until today, they went to court. They sacked even the minister. Till today, have they given Nigerians that 25 million? This is an audio government.
All right,
Okay.
let's invite the human rights lawyer into the conversation. Last week, I was right here. Peter May was still into your opinion, saying that they are traveling. We had Honorable Jike as well, and an APC elder statesman. He was saying he's not just traveling, he's establishing bilateral trade. He talked about the Brazil deal that President Tinubu was able to secure. So are you saying absolutely, Mr. Kola, that there is nothing to write home about this government?
I didn't say a word.
What's your
You didn't say
perception?
a word.
What's your
No,
view?
no, I'm just saying,
You're asking.
is it that it was him, it was asked by my colleague if, you need to give credit where credit is due, and he's saying he had nothing good to say about the government. So I'm just, from him, what do you have to say about
Okay,
that?
so first I would like to put things in proper perspective
All right.
regarding the educational backgrounds of the two former presidents. So I'm not a great fan of General Buhari, obviously due to his records on human rights and various violations that went on, but he does possess more than a school certificate. He is a retired general produced by this country. He went to military school here. He also went to the U.S. Military Academy for his staff.
Special training.
No, it was a staff officer there when he went for staff college. Staff
Okay.
college. So it does go beyond school, sir. Whether his training equips him to be the president or to be in politics is a different question entirely. And obviously, it was made a total mess of it. Some would say because of his health status, etc. And then you were talking about Goodluck Jonathan being the first PhD president which we had. Yes, it may be the first PhD president, but his presidency was lackluster. It seemed as if it was a child wearing his father's agbada, and it just drowned him. He couldn't tackle insecurity very well. The Chibok girl incident happened under his watch. The 49 young boys that were killed in the Federal Government College in Bununyadi happened under his watch. And so many other, there was so much profligacy and waste in government that made people become so disgruntled and allowed a man who had been overthrown 32 years earlier to come back and sweep him out of office. So those were the major challenges which we had. Have we seen anything better with this present government? It's questionable. The previous man said he would never go for medical tourism when I become president and everything. And then he took ill. And he was the first person to run out of Nigeria. He parked the presidential jet in London for like 6 months. Our leaders don't even use our hospitals again. He made mention of the incumbents always in and out. If President Macron comes to Nigeria for medical tourism the way our president does, he will be out of work. In France now, you can see his prime minister has been relieved of his duties. They don't waste time in Europe. The opposition is going to, feast on you. Until we really put measures in place and say we have to be sincere to ourselves and have frank conversations, until we're able to put some sort of limitation in place for people in power, like president, his vice, ministers under him, people in National Assembly, even judges, and because the judiciary is the third arm of government. Nobody should travel outside of this country and seek medical intervention. We must all do it here. If we don't sit down and fix this country, we're going to have these incidents of our presidents traveling to London for a ear, nose, throat infection, and the ordinary Nigerian is not able to do so. And this is unfair because he is not using his personal funds. He's flying the presidential jet. They bought presidential yacht, which is misplacement of priority as far as I'm concerned. It budgets huge amounts of money, not just him, from the Jonathan era. You'll be hearing about a huge amounts of money being budgeted for the Aso Rock kitchen and everything. The US president pays for his own food, and he has to pay for the entertainment of people who come. But here, we just treat government as a national health insurance scheme.
But do you think this is a one-man show, or the three arms of government are also in collaboration in this particular incident that you're talking about?
Well, the fish starts rotting from the head. So if the president wants a change, he has to start with himself. Look at his convoy when he's going, even the convoy of the First Lady. It's an unconstitutional role. I just saw a video someone posted, was making rounds on WhatsApp, and she was visiting Lagos, and there were like 96 vehicles in our convoy. What the heck are we doing? And the cost of fueling those vehicles and everything, we're saying it's bad optics. And that's why everybody wants to go into politics. It's a cash cow. They went in there in the National Assembly, were talking about the cars. The first thing they were struggling for was luxury vehicles. The previous sets took away their own. The Apple legislative quarters, which we built for them, they hijacked it amongst themselves and sold it off. It's just a cycle of we just keep recycling corruption. And we're not serious.
All right, you made mention of what goes on in Siena climes like France, and you made mention of President Macron if he dares to.
If he keeps coming to Nigeria for,
Is it
number
only
one,
Nigeria or any other country?
his country is going to ask him to step aside
All right.
and go and face his health, or he will be out of work.
So that's a country with accountability, right? We can see that. And in Nigeria,
to a certain extent.
it looks like our leaders are not accountable to anyone. They seem to have this self-imposed immunity. They seem to just go about what they want to do with their lives, and they know that no one is going to question them. And there's a saying, power belongs to the people. I don't know, that is slowly becoming a fallacy because the people do not have a say. And my question is, how do we hold this government accountable? Is there any chance for that?
Yes, there's a chance. The first thing is to rejig INEC. INEC is a deeply flawed organization, because that's the entry point for politicians. And you have a chairman who promised heaven and earth the last elections. Do you know how much Nigeria budgeted for those elections? Almost $500 million or so. We just 500 billion or something like that, or 300 billion. Huge among us election for a charade. The last election for me was a charade. We had elections, we had where a popular thug in transportation was telling a certain amount of certain coloration of people to stay away. Mama Chukwudi, stay away from the polls. We saw a woman stabbed in the eye with a knife or whatever. And for the amount of money which we voted, did we get value in return? I don't think so. The INEC chairman promising all sorts of technical slangs, something rev, beavers and rev and everything, and it all just turned out to be big grammar. He was saying it on BBC and some of your sister stations.
I think there's an ongoing call out, and also civil society organization and other prominent analysts calling for electoral reform. Do you think that electoral reform will go a long way, and is it possible with the present body language of the president and the judiciary and the legislature? Do you think the electoral reform can come into play?
INEC's first, the first name in that acronym is Independent National Election. But INEC
is it true?
It's not independent. That's the problem. INEC is not, because you saw the last president who put his niece there. He was going to seek election, and his niece was there, until there was a public outcry and said, this person is related to you, you cannot nominate your niece. And then he said, no, she's not actually going to be on the field, she'll be in the office. That's even more dangerous. If she's going to be in the office and she's privy to all the, the back end machinations. So we're in a lurch, and we need to decide how we want to progress, because it's electoral reforms that would bring credible elections. Without credible elections, you can't have credible leaders, because everything is going to be wuru to the answer. And that's why you have someone who is saying you have to smash it, steal it, grab it, run with it. Because essentially that's the only way to capture elections. If we put robust changes in place, I don't see any reason why we can't have electronic transmission of results in real time the same day. I don't see any reason why we can't do electronic voting and be really sincere about it. When was the last time you went into a bank to go and collect money? I don't think you've been to the bank to go and collect money in like 2 or 3 years. Everything is done through your phone. What is more important to you than your hard-earned salary or your wealth and where you store it? And we're able to, you know, I'm not saying that you don't fall into the hands of scammers and some people telling you to bring your PIN or whatever, but astutely, we're able to use our phones to do these things. We vote for Big Brother on the phone, we vote for Idol on the phone, so why can't, it's even cheaper. All these ballot snatching, everything will be taken out of it, but the people who are in charge of making the laws are afraid to implement those things because effectively they'll be shooting themselves in the foot, so it means they won't be able to get in.
All right. Let's return to Prince Kennedy.
Yeah.
You've been nodding for the first time I'm seeing you on the show. You seem happy. I mean, for the first time you're having someone agreeing to the things you're saying. And I think it's new to me that 2 guests are unanimously agreeing to the decadence of this governance. And
I must say
It's
that I don't
he's
belong
not-
to any
he's
political
not,
party.
He's not a politician.
okay.
Your perspective seems to be
I
similar.
am a politician, but I'm not a career politician. Honestly, I joined politics after the passage of Not Too Young to Run to add value to leadership. But after that election, I lost, and the party said that they're not going to let me go. That was how I was introduced into the party leadership. I never planned for it. I never intended for that. That's a story for another day. So that is for you to understand why I seems to be aligning to some of the postulations he's making. It's not as if he's a politician. He's not a politician. Me, I'm not a typical Nigerian politician that you know.
All right, let's talk about democracy, governance, and as well as taking a look at the rule of law. I've seen a video of you circulating where you talked about the Senator Natasha representing Kogi, and you talked about her being illegally suspended, and in that video you said that this is not the process of democracy if decisions are being made. What do you have to say about that?
Yes, I said that, I think, about 4 days ago. And I felt that there is a level of injustice and elite manipulation in this country. There are rules and there are laws. The National Assembly, the Senate specifically, have their rule. And in their rule book, it stated that you cannot suspend a senator for more than 14 legislative days. And here is the same Senate suspending a senator, suspending a whole senatorial zone for 6 months. And even after the 6 months, you can see some level of manipulation that even a clerk is now saying that he's not sure that the woman will be allowed to come back, that the matter is in court. This matter that the clerk is saying is in court was the same matter that was in the court, and the clerk was served that this suspension should not go ahead. But the Senate went ahead. Against the rule and the order of the court, the Senate went ahead and gave the woman suspension. So what I said in that video is very clear. The Nigerian women are keeping quiet. Their trend now is agitating for 35% reserved seats in the National Assembly. But I felt that this is an opportunity. Currently, we have about 2% or thereabout of women in the parliament. And I felt that this is an opportunity for them to stamp their feet and stand in support of this woman, because it's an injustice. We are in the country where a police officer doesn't just stop or stand to monitor you obey the traffic rule. What if you are conversant with Abuja? What they do is that they move ahead, hide. I used to laugh when I see them. They hide by the tree side for you to beat the traffic. You know, this is the country where we are. The woman, if you feel he has breached your rule in the Senate, fine. You go by your rule book
Due process.
and give her that 14 days. And then, if there's other things provided by in that your rule book, you go by that instead of using power. So I think somebody said it. You mentioned it. We give ourselves high level of immunity. the problem is that the institutions are not working. We worship individuals more than we worship institutions of government. Yes, we clap for, we celebrate individuals. Like he said, no matter how powerful you are in US, in UK, in France, the institutions will question you, will put you in check. Very clear. You cannot go for medical trip from France to Nigeria 2-3 times, and the institutions will not put you in check and say, look, this is wrong. Please, you have to step aside. Go and take care of yourself. Okay? Why can't we have the hospital that you are going to Nigeria, in France? That is what the institution will do. But here, the moment a president emerges, he begins to employ those people that are his boys, his followers. He begins to position them, whether they have the basic knowledge of those institutions they are supposed to head or not. They come to the Senate president who has been able to establish a connection with the president, we say, take a bow and go. And there is no evidential proof. There is no roadmap given to Nigerians by those ministers, DGs they are appointing to show that these ones are going to be doing something for the country. So that was why I made that video. Nigerian women, Nigerian youth, because the woman is not up to 50 years. You know, Nigerian youth are keeping quiet, agitating. And nobody is talking about this injustice meted out to a Nigerian youth, to a Nigerian woman. So that was why I made that video.
So it seems like it's a trend that after the let's say the police or the military have been succumbed under the caprices of those in politics, it seems like it's more like a clampdown now on the judiciary, because we see all manner of cases being unturned to favor the present administration. Why that is on, you attend to that. And also we had Honorable GK here last week, and he alluded to the fact that some of this policy that Mr. President is bringing on board is to boost investors' confidence in Nigeria. How true?
I have a cousin that is a U.S. military personnel. He visited Nigeria about 2 months ago. Do you know that he will show me, they give him red alerts on states and areas he shouldn't visit in this country. He's a Nigerian, but he's a U.S. naval officer. They are giving him notification. And many states in Nigeria, it's a no-go area because of the notification they gave him. He can't go by road to anywhere in this country. He stated that, he showed me. Don't go by road to anywhere in Nigeria. And you're telling me the policies of Mr. President is boosting. Which investor will come into a country where you do a business and you are not sure that the legal system will protect you? Which country? Which investor will do that? Which investor will come into a country where only from Abuja to Kaduna they tell you that the train system has failed? Is there any underground from here to Kaduna? Just from here to Kaduna, no underground.
Time is against us on the show this morning. Let's return to Mr. Caller, and let's look at the way forward. You talked about rejigging INEC. What other suggestions do you have as we look to wrap things up?
Well, stop medical tourism by the people in power. That's the first. If we want, see, I went to school with children of people in government. It doesn't happen anymore. When we went to school, I went to Government College Ibadan, and those days, you know, this guy's father could be commissioner of this. Deputy governor's son was in our school and everything. So there were direct feeders to the people in leaders about things happening in school and educational level. Once you don't have such interaction anymore, the people in power are immune to what is happening. They live in a cocoon. Their kids don't go to government schools anymore. Their kids don't even go to government universities. The few amongst them who don't travel out of the country go to private universities. So you are totally cut out. They don't. When Aisha Buhari said her daughter took ill and they went to the State House Medical Center, she was the first person that raised the alarm that there was nothing there. They were prescribing Panadol, or they didn't even have Panadol. And what did she do before she left? She built a new medical center at the time and handed it over to them. But I don't think that medical center is
Oh,
good
dear,
enough
no.
for the president, and that's why he keeps running away. So those are some of the things that we need to do. It's a sine qua non. It must be a written law, because obviously our leaders don't have the moral rectitude to want to do such things. If you are the president, vice president, secretary to the government, etc., commissioners, once you're serving in government, even in the judiciary, you must depose to an oath that you are not going to be traveling abroad for medical tourism. Your children are not going to school abroad. If you're not in government and you have your money, that's fine. You can be changing your naira into dollars and everything. If we don't put that law into place and put a red alert target on those names when they're traveling out of the country, we're not going to fix education. We're not going to. The president cannot even fix light. That's why he has solar in his house. He budgeted 10 billion. And I've said it a couple of times on this program, but we're not going to have light in Nigeria if we don't disconnect Aso Rock from
Solar
band A or super band, whatever that they're going to put. Let the president also experience blackouts. Let the president experience what Abuja Water Board is doing. That's the only way. And the governors in the various states, you disconnect them from all these cushions of comfort and feel the pinch. There was a video I was watching one time. It was a news item. The president's wife was inspecting like a trade fair, and there's this woman who did this dry catfish, and the president's wife does not know the price of fish. She's cut off. She doesn't know the price of gari. She doesn't know anything. So when I was serving, the salary of a corps member, the allowance, could buy a sack of rice. The question is, what do you want to do with a sack of rice as a copper? Do you understand? But your allowance could buy a sack of rice. And it was that way until 2015 when General Buhari came in. When Goodluck Jonathan was leaving, a sack of rice was 7,500. And I'll buy one sack, I cannot finish it in a year. You have now increased minimum wage to 70,000, and the minimum wage cannot buy a sack of rice. A sack of rice is about 100,000. So what have we gained? We're poorer for
Everything
it.
seems to be competing.
And then the president now says, a couple of days ago, he's spoken with FEC, let us look at how to crash the prices of food. You don't do that by military fear. This is not 1984, when you start breaking people's shops and be selling essential commodities, groundnut oil, gari, and everything. You can't do that anymore, because I'm going to go to court to protect my rights. But what can we do? Temporarily, we have shown that we cannot produce our own food. All these rice pyramids or Emefiele was a scam. We've seen what Emefiele did with our money. We need to import food. Open the borders. Let rice come in. And that's going to crash the price of rice and everything. We cannot say we are producing rice and it's more expensive than imported rice. That's voodoo economics. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, international human rights lawyer Kola Lapini, and as well as national youth leader Prince Kennedy Gazette Justice on the show. Really appreciate your presence.
Thank you.
So much.
All right, still on the weekend show. More to come your way.